Yes, now, and welcome back to 157 of the Top Loaded podcast. And this one is the last ever solo podcast. Going forward, every single episode will feature a guest. And before I get into it a little bit more, a massive thanks yet again for the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded podcast. So if you need card supplies, custom card stands, great preparation kits, even, and whatever you may need, head over to their website, check the link in our bio, and use the code TTP10 at checkout to save 10% off your whole order. And getting onto that point before we get onto our really interesting talking point this week, is going forward, we are returning the podcast back to its glory days, so to speak. And every single episode will be featuring a different member of the hobby, whether it's from the UK or from around the world. So we're looking forward to getting that. But obviously, it's my actual pleasure to announce that the next episode, so episode 158, will be our next rendition of the London Card Show special. Yes, the London Card Show is upon us. It's nearly here again, so we'll be joined by a whole plethora of guests, and also, hopefully, our very good friend Harry Reynolds will be joining us as well for that episode. So do get excited for that one in 2 weeks' time. But the major talking point this week within the UK hobby, and it's a massive, massive step forward in the evolution of the UK hobby, in my personal opinion. The Fanatics store in London is opening its doors this Friday. For anyone who knows London, the heart of the shopping area is Regent Street and Oxford Street. It is located on Regent Street, right at Piccadilly Circus. So it's a fantastic location. It's a triple shop front plot. Today, some of the tops partnered breakers and different influencers are in the store, and first pictures are emerging. And I've got to say, it does look very impressive. And there's quite a few high-end cards in there. I've seen Steph Curry rookies. I've seen John Elway rookies. I've seen quite a lot of interesting cards. So I will be there this Saturday for a few hours to experience the shop and record a bit of content as well, which should be good. So if you do want to see any of the content that goes out, make sure you do follow my TikTok account, RP Trading Cards, and you'll see a couple of different videos from there. More importantly, obviously, some people would have visited the pop-up store, which is at Westfield's White City, obviously Westfield's London, which was a learning curve, I would say, from Fanatics. And if they do learn from that experience, I do believe that it could be revolutionary within the hobby, and it could really be a good space for us collectors. People have made their industries within it, so it's going to be quite intriguing. So, first of all, I'm going to just talk about the pop-up store, of what it kind of was and how I want it to be, and what also we want from this new store as a customer, as a hobby goer, as whatever it may be. So obviously the West London one, it was a lot smaller. It was quite a small shop front. It probably had one time probably about 50 single cards. Obviously quite a bit of wax, but also some memorabilia as well, obviously, which we know Fanatics are doing now. And they had a good range as well of your match attacks and like team sets for the cheaper end of the products, swap walls and all of that. So I'm guessing that would all be there again. Don't get me wrong, it was great to have a location where you could buy hobby products at not hobby prices, because some of them were higher than retail, but on most it was at average price, so that was very good. There were different events in there, which obviously going forward I believe they will be doing, whether they're closed off events or open to the general public. We are yet to find out them kind of information yet. So what was the main issues for me with their West London store? First of all, the singles I thought were not the greatest. It was all PSA graded, which is fantastic. However, the comps on them cards that they had out in that store were very over the top. There was some that were double, if not triple, the latest comps. Okay, I know you got to make money, but is it are they pricing it for the people in the hobby, or pricing it for maybe tourists who don't quite understand the prices and then will pay that extra bit more? Who knows? But I think I see one today on a certain story they reshared. I can't remember whose it was, It was a Steph Curry Topps rookie auto, which was just signed on card. So it's an after product auto, verified by Beckett. I believe it was a Beckett 8 Auto 10 or Beckett 9 Auto 10. I think the last one done about $1,800. Sorry, £1,800. And the one they had listed up in there was about 2.3, or its last sale was 2.8 and it was 3.3. So that's not a horrifically over the top, like 15%. Gives them the wiggle room to come down on it. But I think that's just another one thing what's interesting as well. Obviously, the employees in there are just employees. They don't have overall say on what prices cards go. So there needs to be a member of staff in there of note who is in charge of signing off on selling, and no doubt they'll be doing buying as well, because I was at a London card show event there, and they said they were buying everything over £100 90%. However, there was no one in the store at the time to sign off on the deals. So I think it's more that was the learning curve, was the West London store, and they really need to think of what didn't go right for that store, because a lot of things did go right. I'm not saying everything was wrong. Some things that did go wrong in that store, which they do need to improve on for this one. It looks like they've got a bit of a range of cards and whatever it may be. Obviously, we haven't been there yet to be able to give a true opinion of it. But I will be giving a true opinion on my content. They do mention in the stories that there'd be a lot of like athlete appearances. That would be very cool. Signings, question answers, that kind of stuff would be fantastic. Bringing closing the gap between the hobby and the athletes, which is, I think, should be top of the priority list. Tosin does it very well. Obviously, he plays for Chelsea. They've done it with Dominic Solanke before at events. So that would be very interesting going forward. But the one thing I'm quite intrigued about is product when it comes out. So a lot of products that come out on Topps' website, will they be available on Topps in Top Store? Or is it only going to be selected products? Is it only going to be a case? If they've got their own store, in my personal opinion, they should have some boxes of every release available in that store. How do they do it? Probably should do it like Walmart and Target during COVID, of limiting it to a certain amount of boxes per person. But I think that's another one that we'll see in the long run. Will it work? Will it not work? Kind of thing. I'm very intrigued to see some of the products that they say are sold out online, which I'm very much sure they're not sold out and they've just taken them off sale, if they become available in the Regent Street store. Stuff like Women's Knockout, MLS Finest, that's another one. Stuff like that, will they come available in store? Because I think you need a place where, even if it's a case of each product or a couple of cases of each product that are available, at this store, this goes on to from the wax point, is that they will have people breaking from Fanatics. Obviously, this is the Fanatics Breakers program. So I probably will do a slight rant later on about Fanatics Collects, but Fanatics Live, sorry. But it's going to be quite intriguing to see that. I think if you're listening to this as it goes out, have a look on the app. So I believe people are test streaming from there this week, which will be quite intriguing to see what the setup's like and how it all works. But having that place for everyone, if you're in London, you can pop in, have a look at some cards, have a look at some boxes, meet some like-minded individuals. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it being there this Saturday. But I think they've really the one thing I would like, and to be fair, they have put this out today in the email, their update email, that all the staff are actually in the hobby. Well, they haven't said that. They've said like what's the word I'm looking for? Hobby knowledge. That was the word they was using. I'd be very intrigued to see if the people actually work in there, if anyone in there is actually like quite an active member of the community, because I feel like the card industry is one of them that, unless you really live the hobby, you can easily get sidetracked / lose out on things. And I would like to see a couple of people who are very, very much into cards, very good on comping, very good on buying and selling, They're going to have grading on. They're having been able to send off for grading or something or other. I was reading, so they can pre-grade your cards as well. But it'd just be nice to have people who are working in that store, who are in the hobby, who know what they're talking about, can hold conversations about cards. So that's something I'm going to be very intrigued about, is meeting the people who are working in there as well. Because the guys in the West London one were lovely people. I have quite a few conversations with them. Good guys, but just need to have them hobby people as well in there. There's got to be a good balance between hobby and just like generic workers, make it that way perfect. From a bias perspective, I'm not too optimistic about the women's side of the store. Like they might prove me wrong here and might have a whole selection of women's cards, but I just can't see it personally. Maybe it could be a case of they might do it more for the Euros. They could have like featured areas. I really don't know at this point in time, but it feels like it's an area of the hobby that I'm not going to beat around the bush. I personally think Topps neglect heavily. You see how much content they do for men's Champions League, the men's Euros, Europa League, Conference League, the whole lot. And it comes to the women's side of it. They never put out any posts. That the only content we really ever got was Aitana Bonmatí created set when she done her own set, so they done a video with her. So I think it's a big 4 or 5 months for Topps and Fanatics for the women's side of the game. Like you got the Euros coming up, you got the Women's Champions League semi-finals and finals coming up. Just give the exposure to that side of the hobby as well, because there's a lot of people out there that I've spoken to that don't know that that hobby is there. They don't know that I can go and collect women's cards or women's autograph cards, women's patches, for example. So just have that exposure, and the amount of eyes that store will get in Regent Street, the amount of people walking in, the amount of kids who might go in there for some match attacks, the amount of tourists that might go in there not knowing about cards and then might start collecting cards. Please give the women's side of it the exposure as well. And it's not even just the women's side of it. Make sure, like the American sports, you've got the license into for MLB, so might as well use that. WWE, no doubt, will be in fruition. UFC, Team GB, hopefully that would be a nice one. I'm not holding my breath on that one, but that would be a nice one. So I think it'd be very interesting, this store. Very interesting to hear what your perspective of it is as well. Are you looking forward to going down? Will you go down? Will you even bother? So what would I like to see in the store? I would like to see, and I actually would say, and this is a thing of a massive shout out, actually, I would say, to Trade Week Cards up in Loughborough, because what they've built there, it's not just a shop, and that's what I'm most worried about this Fanatic store being, is just a shop. They have really built a community space where you can go in, have a chat, have a coffee, open some products, buy some singles, or just go in there and talk cards. And that aspect of it, it feels quite homely when you go into Trade Week Cards, and you want that from this Fanatic store as well, because a lot of the stores in London are very cutthroat. It's a shop is designed that once you go in, it should keep you in there. It's the natural business of the longer you're on a premises, the more money you're likely to spend. So it's going to be intriguing if they go along that side of it as well. Of, do they want you in there for a long period of time, or do they just want you to go in, buy a box, buy some singles, and leave? So I would like to see like different break areas, like some sofas that you can sit down and chat. So that would be quite intriguing. But obviously, until we go there, we don't quite know. Single wise, I think that's the one where my skepticism is the highest. Of obviously, I'm not foolish. They're not going to be on comps. They've got to price it above them to make money. However, have a good range of prices. I think I would say, if I had to guess, when that West London store, I would say the average card price must have been close to 100 to 150 quid. So it's higher end stuff, but you got to remember, some people going in there might only have £5 or £10 to spend on a card. So I think they would do very well to have like a mixture of high end and low end cards, because it could be a place that people go to before a London card show or another card show around the country, where they might buy some cards and try and then sell them on at the shows, make a business out of it. When it comes to boxes, I suppose there's not too much they can do. Just don't take a liberty with prices. Hopefully, they're as close as the Topps website as possible. Obviously, some of them they sell for higher up when they are reselling for more to stop scalpers, but I think that's just down to that's a business decision more than anything. So that's going to be rather intriguing. I would kind of this is an idea which I thought of, but they probably won't do. They do like your rip nights and stuff like that, but I feel like they could have like hobby nights as well. Like you get like trade nights going on in there where people come down, different themes. Like night could be basketball, night could do NFL, night could be football, and night could be women's football. That'd be an interesting one to find out and see personally, but who knows? I think they do have a lot of stuff planned, which I'm looking forward to hearing from. And knowing the guys at Tops, they are it's in good hands. It's just if the store is in the same hands as well. So on a overall nutshell, I've rambled on a bit about this store, but I'm really looking forward to it. It could be the next step in the future of the UK hobby if done right. I- I'm optimistic and pessimistic at the same side. So obviously on Saturday I will be there. I'll put out a few videos on TikTok just to show you off what it looks like and my honest opinions of the shop, whether it's worth visiting or just don't bother. Probably will say still go anyway because everyone opinion differs and depending on what you collect depends on if you like it or not. So yeah, if you are available, I might see some of you down there this Saturday, which would be quite good. I'm very much looking forward to it. But moving on now to Fanatics Live, and I've been in a few streams, obviously, good friends with Dub Breaks, and I'm not even just talking from a Dub Breaks perspective, but I've gone on the app quite a few times, even when they're not breaking, and it seems like they're heavily struggling with foot traffic on the app or whatever you want to call it. And there's one big problem, and like, don't get me wrong, I've been super harsh on Whatnot recently. However, they do plug their own app quite well. They do get people on the app, and a lot of people are on Whatnot. However, that will be the reverse for Fanatics Live. I can guarantee you right now that over half the people listening to this right now are not following not on Fanatics Live, and it's because it's not been pushed. It's not. It seems quite rushed. Um, it's not. It doesn't seem like there's really been a launch for it. It seems like it's still in beta, but it's actually just out. And I'm led to believe that they bought Vogt, and like the app that they've put out is pretty much Vogt, but just rebranded a bit. Because weirdly enough, I got an email the day that Fanatics Live went live from Vogt saying about Topps Fanatics Live being out. So obviously they bought them out and then vice versa. So that's going to be quite intriguing. But they've got to start getting more people now because any person who's averaging, like say 50 people in a live stream and whatnot, they'll go over to Fanatics Live and get 5. So it makes no sense for anyone within the UK hobby to stop using Whatnot and go over to Fanatics because A, you're not making as much money. Say if there's only 10 people in your stream, your prices are going to be lower. If you're doing breaks, they're going to be harder to sell out. So they really need to start pushing the app in the UK. They've done it fantastically in the United States, but obviously it's got to transcend over into the UK. The UK, a lot of people are on deals. They can't go over to it. They might break on their own network. So that's going to be something very interesting to see. Moving on now, there's a couple of releases coming out as well, which are quite optimistic for you men's collectors out there. Sadly, not myself anymore. UCC Chrome does look fantastic. There's a lot of really nice inserts and card sets within it. Some really good autos. I know Eden Hazard has got autos. There's a Sir Alex Ferguson auto, Marks of Excellence, I believe it is. However, that's one thing I wanted to bring people's attention to, which I haven't seen many people talking about. On the checklist, them cards actually specify that they're last season's, which means Lamine Yamal has more rookie autos. Maybe it was a case that they just didn't make the print run in time, so they've just gone out in this year's one. However, Lamine Yamal, his normal cards are second year, but he has got a rookie auto in that set. Some, like I say, some of the inserts are fantastic. Some of the autos are very cool. Bukayo Saka's back in it for Arsenal. So I think that's going to be a very good release. And All I'm saying is when UCC Finest comes out, I generally think that could be one of the best releases they've done in the last 5 years. Going on the MLS Finest, that was a fantastic release. Panini Prism is finally upon us. Yes, you are hearing me right. Panini Prism Premier League, the last ever installment, sadly, well, for the moment under the contract agreement, is coming out this week. The Dutch auctions have been loaded up on the website for the first off the line, even though I think it would have been quite funny if they would have called it last off the line because it was the last one. But yeah, that's coming out very soon. That's a stunning set. The black shimmers, blue shimmers, fantastic, fantastic release. Shame to see the back of it. I was really always been a Prism fan. I'm a massive Topps collector due to the women's side of it, but having that non-competition is going to be a bit bad, but it is what it is, sadly, at the end of the day. And there's a few other good releases. Top Simplicidad. I can definitely not speak Spanish at all. Is being shipped this week, I'm led to believe. I've seen a few people on Reddit in Spain put out their posts, like hits from it. So yeah, that should be another good set. It's always a good looking one. Not really sells for much. Within the next couple of weeks, Women's Knockout should be shipping as well from Topps. So it's quite an interesting time for the hobby. It's quite busy. There's a few card shows coming up. There's been a few last card shows. Obviously, 2.5 weeks of this coming out. It is the London Card Show. So in 2 weeks' time, the London Card Show special will be out. Well, I'm very much looking forward to that. I will be in attendance the Friday this time, obviously the first ever Friday of the London Card Show. And I'll be in attendance for the Sunday morning and slightly earlier hours of the afternoon. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, there are a couple of things what I've really I would like to talk about as well. One main thing as well, that it's nice to see when wrestlers, I don't know where I've got wrestlers from there, footballers or any of the personalities that you get on your cards, it could be wrestlers to be fair, actually interact with content. And for people who don't know, I'm quite a big Team GB collector. There's not many of us out there, but I'm quite a big Team GB collector. My main PC for it is Alex G. And it was quite funny the other day. I put out a story. Oh, Alex G PC is coming along very nicely, plus a PSA 10 on route back from PSA. And funny enough, within like a minute, Alex G had reposted on his story saying only PSA 10s with a laughing face. So it's nice to get that interaction with athletes. That's another thing coming full circle into the Fanatics store in London that I'm really hoping to see, is get different athletes down, not just footballers, maybe get some athletes down from Team GB. When wrestling's over, obviously it's just finished, finished the UK tour, but when they're back over, get them in. UFC fighters, if they're in London, stuff like that would just be really cool. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to the next few weeks. I think it's great fun. Have I got any pickups? To be fair, I've got one pickup, and I actually would say that no one who's watching this has actually heard of this player, because I do have a side PC of the New York Red Bulls. For people who don't know, and I was in a few of the player breaks on eBay in America, Hobby Legends I was in, and I've managed to pull the uncommon Wiki Carmona 1 of 1. Sadly, I'm not showing you a super fractor on stream on podcast at the moment, but I did. Funny enough, I then looked and there was a to 5, which I've just got here. Red to 5 listed up in the UK, which I purchased. I'm going for the full rainbow of that one. And the only other news, which is great for you WWE collectors, obviously WrestleMania was this last weekend. A couple of late nights, feeling it a bit this morning, first day back at work. Great fun. So all them Topps now's out. But if you have been buying any Topps WWE Chrome or participating in any breaks, do look to see if you've got any Tiffany Stratton or Jey Uso base cards, number cards, refractors, prisms, whatever it may be. And if you do, they are worth money in America. You can get $200 for some parallels, $100 for some others, $40 for refractors, prisms, and non-numbered parallels, and $20 for a base card. So if you've got them, either sell them, or if you're looking to move them, let me know, because I will be actively buying some of them. But yeah, that's another good thing to look out for. But yeah, that's this will be obviously the last one, just myself. So the next episode will be the London Card Show special. And then moving forward after that, we'll be getting a lot of guests on. which I'm really looking forward to getting back to the really good content the podcast was putting out. But we will be returning to the better episodes, more intriguing ones, slightly longer, to that 30 to 45 minutes mark. But like I say, a massive thanks to the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. So if you need card supplies, custom card stands, great preparation kits, whatever it may be, they will have you covered over on their website, in their store, or you can use the link in our bio. But whilst you're there, make sure you use the code TTP10 at checkout to save 10% off your whole order. But another thing as well, I hope everyone out there is doing safe, had a lovely bank holiday weekend. I hope everyone out there, though, is buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.